To HD or 4K?
All right, guys, we have Dalton here. We got first place today at a display tournament for Ghost in the Past 2. Did you have fun today, Dalton?
Yeah, it was nice to actually get to play YuGiOh for once. It was good to get a little testing in for like the regional that's coming up. It's in Kentucky. I don't know the city, but you know, whatever.
What'd you play?
I played BRIGADE Brandon. I think it's the best mid-range deck of all the decks, and I'll kind of explain that. As I go. So I'll go ahead and get into it.
Before we get into it, shout out to Dink Ritual, dinkritual.com. Use code YuGiOh or GOO10 and check out for 10% off. Let's get into it.
It's pretty nice. So start off with like the best card in the deck, Rescue Cat. So if this card resolves, you win. If this card resolves, you have your entire combo, including Despia things if you want. So I'll get into the Despia stuff a little more, but like anyway, if this card resolves, you pretty much win, which is why you play cards to protect it. So you play 3 of all like the names that actually do stuff, and then 2 Kiraz and 1 Mercourier. So this card goes along with the Despia stuff because it not only adds Albion, which is an upstart goblin, it also can be added back to your hand, which can be used as a discard for your Bear Brum. You can also just use it as a card to put back on the bottom for your Revolt if you have other cards in your hand. But you know, most of the time it's in your hand as a negate for Mirror Jade if it's still there, and then the 1 Revolt to finish off the Tri-Brigade package with the Techie and Foolish being the only other utility spells. We've got the Despia, or I guess the Branded engine. We got 1 Fallen of Albaz, 1 Albion, 3 Branded Fusion, and 1 Sword. This is what you dump off of Albion, because this also can banish to add back the Mercourier, so it just adds another card in your hand. This isn't a brick as much as people like to think that it is. It's not, because it's not only like a good 6th card to draw against Despia, it's super poly on legs basically. These cards really are not bad to draw. None of these are bad to draw. This can always be like a second option if you want it to. If like your Kiraz gets stopped, if your normal summon gets stopped, if you just have no other way to combo, this is a good thing to end on because it also gives you follow-up through the next turn. So then the rest of the deck is basically going second cards. So 3 Droplet, a Gamma package, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 2 Bell, 1 Valor, 1 Crow, a Call By, and then 2 Crossout. So I play all these not only just as crossout targets, but also because, like I said, this card is a mid-range deck, or this deck is a mid-range deck. So you can play all these hand traps because most of your cards are 1-card starters or 1-card engine cards that get you into what you need. So being able to play all of these cards to basically fuel your going second and make it that much better against all of your matchups, I feel like is really good versus just playing all gas, no brakes. So we'll go ahead and get into the extra deck. So we've got the 1 All Mirage, the 1 DDL, the Bear Brum, the 2 Farragut, because this can be an extender, and it comes up with sometimes where like your hands are a little clunky and you have like a normal summon and you want to special summon it, but it's the same name that's already on field. So you can just make this to special summon it and make an access code talker. And the Anaconda, the Sheller, the Doom Eagle, the 2 Omen, the access code, Appaloosa, and then for the branded stuff, you play a Mirror Jade, which sends Brigand, which adds follow-up to your hand, and then Albion, which in some cases like can help you kill your opponent if you've already sent like Branded Fusion to the grave, where you can set Sword from your deck, and then use Sword on the next turn after setting it with Albion to summon a token that's 2,500 and just continue to kill your opponent. So that's the extra. We'll go to the side. So the side deck, I thankfully didn't have to side this in at all today because I didn't play against any Sword Soul, so I didn't have a chance to really have this come up, but you know, it's Token Collector. 2 Nib, it's also a crossout target, but it's also just Nibiru. Coupled with like an Imperm, it's a blowout, and then Lancia as like a crossout target. Lancia is being sided out a lot, I've noticed, so I may take this out for something else, but it was pretty good today. Like it came up once against like a virtual world deck. So 2 Twin and a Duster. This is obviously just for back row decks. This is for like against Zombie World because that card is just a blowout card. It's good against Flunder. It's good against any deck that really relies on back row, trap decks, all that. 2 Anti-Spell, 2 there can be only 1, and then 2 dimensional barrier. All of these cards I side in going first most of the time, because pretty much every deck is playing a fusion strategy of some sort. This deck can play around this card really well, and this is just a blowout against Flunder, and that's really this deck's hardest matchup. And then anti-spell, it kind of outs your all of your cards that are blowout cards like Lightning Storm, Droplet, Duster that outs your Revolt, things like that. Yeah, that's the deck. The main was a 44. I tried to cut it down to 40, but they're just, with the crossouts, there are just other cards that I wanted to fit in the deck. And it was still consistent all day. I never had a problem with breaking. I went undefeated, so it was pretty good. Can't complain.
Any shout-outs?
Shout out to CM Games. Shout out to Goo Gaming, of course. Shout out to everybody that was here. Shout out to YuGiOh, Logan, PJ. It's nice to be able to play with you guys again. Nice to come out. So, yeah.